Good morning, evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark.
And I'm Zoe.
And we are the Board Adventurers. We're back with you today to talk about another game that we've talked about in our very first video, Mystery of the Abbey, designed by Bruno Feduti and Serge Leger, and published by Days of Wonder. One of the reasons we're talking about this game is we've recently heard that there's going to be a Kickstarter coming out soon for a second edition of Mystery of the Abbey. And we just wanted to give our view of what we thought about the original, since this kind of had an impact on us coming into the hobby in the first place. So Mystery of the Abbey is a 3 to 6 player game where you play a monk and you're trying to investigate someone's death. So one of the priests has died and you're trying to figure out which one of the brothers did it. So on your turn, you're going to take a movement action and then an action based on the room that you land in. So you might end up in, say, the scriptorium, where you draw one of the books from the library and it gives you a special ability. Or you might go to the crypta, which that would give you an extra card that lets you have an extra movement action on your turn. Or you might end up in one of the cellulas, which is one of the rooms of a specific color of a person. If you're in there and you end your turn in there, you can take a card from that player color's hand. But if they, on their turn, come and catch you in their room, then they take that card back and they take another card from you. So looking at it as from a general perspective, it's kind of like if you had Clue, but you're basing it off of certain traits as opposed to a weapon and a room. So the other thing is also that when it comes to the board that you're filling out, each of the suspects has 5 different qualities about them. So it's either so you have the order, so you have either their Franciscan, Benedictine, or what's the other one? Or a Templar. Then you can have either a father, a brother, or a novice. Then they can be either bearded or clean shaven, bald or have hair, or thin and fat. And you use those as a combination to determine who is the person that killed the monk. And you're going to go around asking questions from other monks too whenever you land on that space for them. That's a very general description of what it is. I kind of glossed over a lot of it. But what do you think about Mystery of the Abbey?
Mystery of the Abbey is very one of those early Clue-like games.
Yeah.
It's kind of early deduction style game, reiterating based off of kind of like what Clue does. And Mystery of the Abbey, everyone has specific type clues, and you want to go around asking people what they kind of know. Like when you interact with another player in the game, what you're really asking is kind of like they have specific clues of what the murderer can be, whether it's like based off of the traits that Mark mentioned before: fat, skinny, novice, brother, father, and you're kind of asking them what they know based off of those very specific traits. And you have a piece of paper in your hand and you're kind of crossing off who it could be based off of the combinations available. And I like that kind of aspect of it as an early style deduction game. It's kind of like, I know something you don't, you know something that a third player don't, and you're trying to figure out who knows what.
Right. And like one thing I do like about this is that you're not restricted to just a yes or no question. You can ask a question as a more general, and the question system is very unique in this game in the sense of when you ask someone a question, they can either give you a vow of silence or they can answer you.
Yeah.
Right. And if they answer you, they are allowed to ask a question and you have to answer them. Like you can't just give a vow of silence back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, at what point are you willing to give information if you think you need information from that person? And I definitely see where you have, like, it's very Clue-esque because it's like if you took Clue and you took out the rolling of the dice and you added in almost like room effects, you know, like imagine like if in Clue you had the ballroom have an effect where you could trade cards with somebody. Like that would be something where it's like a step up from Clue for me.
Yeah. And it's interesting to think of this in terms of kind of like the lineage of deduction style games. Like this came out years and years and years ago. But something that's more modern, like Cryptid, borrows a lot from this in terms of how you get information from other people, where it's a lot of asking someone, what do you know, without asking them what they know.
Right.
And then using that information to win the game.
Yeah, I never thought about it like similar to Cryptid, because Cryptid has that slightly similar, is if you give information, you get information back.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's very clever.
Yeah. So I do like that aspect. I mean, I like deduction style games, and this is very. I don't want to say this is simple, because it's not, but the rules are very easy. To grasp.
And like they try to add in also, what I've noticed is they add little like bits of theme in there. So like whoever's the first player, so after 4 turns of the game, the first player marker will shift. And that person is in charge of what they call mass. So mass is when you have this bell and you ring it every time a turn starts. And so there's something in this game called penance. So if you do something incorrect in this game, or if you get caught stealing in this game, you need to perform penance, in the sense of you lose a turn. And one of the ways you get penance is if you don't ring the bell whenever you're the first player and it's time to move the turn marker. And I find that just very funny at times, because it's like you're sometimes watching the first player. And you're like, you didn't ring that bell.
It's a game that has a lot of sense of humor to it. And you kind of expect that. And it uses its theme to kind of drive home that sense of humor, which is kind of
and cool. Like there's a card in like, so after every 4 turns there's a mass, right? Like we said, and that shifts the next player. But then an event also comes out whenever a mass happens, and the event will kind of change up maybe the rules for the next round, or cause shifting of cards or something. But it's definitely a very It's light game. It's a light game, but it's definitely crunchier than Clue.
What's interesting? I do want to ask in terms of kind of like how old this game is, and it does feel old when you're playing it. Like there's so many games that's kind of came out that kind of like, I don't want to say heavier, but it's kind of like does more with deduction style game. Do you think this game is that much of a classic in which it kind of it lives past kind of the age of it?
Yeah, like I would think like there's got to be a reason why there's a second edition coming out soon. And we had played actually Mystery of the Abbey more recently, and we had taught my wife it, and she enjoyed it enough. But I think playing through it for myself, it definitely felt like I was coming back to an older game.
It feels old. I think it's part of it is because like so many deduction style games have came and went, and kind of reiterated on what this game does. That I'm curious if at this point the enjoyment of Mystery of the Abbey is more nostalgia than more what it offers. Right.
Yeah, because the rules are pretty simple. Like each room has its own action, and sometimes it could be viewed as it's like its simplicity works for it. But I think if you come back to it after some time, you're gonna think it's a little too crude, possibly. But I still enjoy playing it for the effects that it has, and I would rather play this game than say like a game of Clue.
Oh, 100%. This is definitely better than Clue. But how much better do you think?
It's definitely like, if I was to introduce this to somebody that had loved Clue and was trying to get into the hobby, this would probably be my top choice of like, because like the big thing about Clue is that all you're doing is just moving around and just asking people questions, right? Whenever you're going into a room, you can just ask anybody. This one is you need to be in the same room with that person, so now that adds like a strategy technique. Now you can also steal cards from other people's hands. You can ask people questions and then they have to answer you back. That adds another like second step to it.
Like how much information you want to give.
So I would definitely recommend this to somebody that loved Clue but was trying to figure out another point into it.
It seems like a game, although I do really love Mystery of the Abbey. I'm not sure how much of that is nostalgia based. But it's definitely one of those kind of like you play Clue, then you should probably play Mystery of the Abbey, and then go deeper into the hobby or even just the genre of deduction style games.
Yeah. But it definitely throws in some like really cool aspects. And like Days of Wonder, just I love the art style of Days of Wonder. It's bright, it's fluid.
Yeah,
it catches you. It makes you want to play.
It's cool. It's just the fact that it's a board game that finds a way to add humor into the play is already enough for me that it's definitely like better than most games, because that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah,
because it's not what you're reading or something like that that's funny. It's making you do funny things.
Yeah.
So
like, and it's like immersing you in that, like, oh, I'm in a chapel.
Yeah,
I'm in mass.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, 100%. So in terms of buy, play, or pass, where does this rank for you?
This is still a solid play for me. I'd be hesitant to say you need to back the second edition of it.
Yeah.
The second edition that's coming out, I would definitely look at what they've changed in terms of rules. If you've played the original, if you haven't played the original, just think of it as like a Clue step up. And if you like that idea, then maybe pursue it a little further. But I would say if you can find a copy of the old Mystery of the Abbey, you could definitely find it and play it, because it's a very solid game.
Yeah.
And it falls, I think, right in the middle for me.
I love Mystery of the Abbey. If I were to rank deduction style games, this would probably be closer to the top.
Yeah.
But if I'm recommending it to someone else, this would be a play.
Okay. That's solid.
Yeah. The age of it kind of shows in the gameplay. But it's also kind of like, if you're getting into the hobby, do you want to kind of like a step above from Clue, or do you just want to dive in kind of thing?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Mystery of the Abbey right now is almost nearly out of print.
Yeah, that's
like,
why
I imagine you can't find it right now.
You can't find it anywhere.
So if you've been hearing about this, new Kickstarter that's coming out, and you've been excited for something similar to like a Clue-esque type of game, then I'd say definitely check it out. Like, see if you like it.
And if you have kids, I think this is definitely like a game with kids.
Oh yeah, no, this isn't like a whole thing about murder. There's not really that gore that you see, or like that kind of like adult kind of like feel for it.
Yeah, just the simplicity and the humor aspect of the game works.
Yeah.
I imagine works really well with kids. So that's definitely another thing to think about. Whether you want to play this. Yeah,
there's an event where like everyone is literally supposed to be hymning everything.
Yeah, as they speak.
Yeah, it's like I forget what it's called. It's like,
yeah.
But it's actually pretty amusing when you get that card. I was like, 100%. Really?
So yeah, this is a play for me.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. All right,
that's our thought on Mystery of the Abbey.
All right, let us know if you've played this game or you have any thoughts on it,
or plan on backing the new edition.
We're definitely gonna look at it.
Yeah. See you on the next one.
Yeah, see it.